National Geographic Kids. Alexander Hamilton. Who was Alexander Hamilton? In his own words, I would die to preserve the law upon a solid foundation, but take away liberty, and the foundation is destroyed. Alexander Hamilton was one of the founding fathers of the United States of America. Even though he had a difficult childhood, he became a Revolutionary War hero, an important politician, and the founder of our country's financial system. Hamilton never ran for president, but his ideas helped shape the new nation. He pushed for having a strong federal government. He set up a banking system that helped the young country survive. Many of his ideas are still used today. Words to know. Politician, a person who is involved in politics, which is the work of the government. Financial, having to do with managing money for a person, company, or government. Federal, having to do with a central government that shares power with individual states. A challenge in childhood. Hamilton was born on January 11th on Nevis, a Caribbean island in the British West Indies. The exact year of his birth is unknown. Hamilton had two sets of birth records. One said he was born in 1755. The other said he was born in 1757, which is the date Hamilton used. Back then, Nevis was a colony of Great Britain. About 1,000 British colonists lived there. They grew sugar and sent ships to trade with far-off places. This museum is located on the site of Alexander Hamilton's birthplace. Nevis is a round island formed around a big volcano called Nevis Peak. The island is surrounded by coral reefs. Surrounded by slavery. On Nevis, many people own slaves. About 8,000 slaves were brought in to work on the sugar plantations. Hamilton saw owners treat slaves very badly. He hated what he saw. As an adult, Hamilton tried to get laws passed to end slavery in the United States. Word to know. Colony, a land ruled by another country. The people who live there, called colonists, are subjects of the ruling country. Hamilton's life was hard. His family was very poor. Also, his parents were never able to marry. His mother, Rachel, had married at age 16. But her husband treated her badly, so she left him. Then she met Hamilton's father, James. They had two children, Alexander and his older brother, James Jr. St. Croix is another island in the West Indies. This photo shows the town where Hamilton grew up, as it appears today. In 1765, the family moved to St. Croix, KROI. Soon after, Hamilton's father left and never returned. To make money, his mother opened a small store. Hamilton began working for the traders who brought goods for her to sell. But 2 years later, his mother died. Hamilton and James Jr. went to live with a cousin and then with an uncle. Within 2 years, both the cousin and the uncle died. Now the brothers, just young teens, were all alone. That's a fact. Hamilton didn't like to talk about his childhood. He was embarrassed by his humble beginnings. In his time, Hamilton grew up in the West Indies during the mid-1700s. Back then, many things were different from how they are today. School, some children attended schools and churches. Children from wealthy families were sent to Europe, Canada, or the American colonies to complete their education. Trade, sugar, which people called white gold, and slavery were the biggest businesses. Today, most money in the region comes from tourism. Work and play, children did many chores to help their families. But when they had free time, they played with homemade toys such as jump ropes, corn husk dolls, and clay marbles. Government: the islands of the West Indies were colonies held by several European countries. Today, most are independent nations. Clothing: as babies, both boys and girls wore white dresses. But by the age of 3, children started dressing like little adults. Girls wore tight, stiff dresses. Boys wore suits. Coming to America. Hamilton faced many hardships. But instead of giving up, he worked hard to improve his life. After their uncle's death, James Jr. got a job with a carpenter and Hamilton kept working as a clerk. As part of his job, Hamilton ordered supplies. He handled money. He also charted courses for the ships that carried the company's supplies. Older businessmen were impressed with his skills. One of them even invited Hamilton to live with his family. Hamilton worked as a clerk for the trading company that had brought goods to his mother's store. The goods often arrived on ships like this. Another person Hamilton impressed was a minister named Hugh Knox, Hyoonoks. Hamilton wrote poems and published them in the local newspaper. Knox noticed his poems and encouraged him to write more. One day Hamilton wrote a letter about a recent hurricane. He showed the letter to Knox. Knox told Hamilton to publish it. In his own words, the roaring of the sea and wind, the crash of the falling houses, and the ear-piercing shrieks of the distressed were sufficient to strike astonishment into angels. From Hamilton's letter about the hurricane, September 6, 1772. Hamilton was born on Nevis and moved to St. Croix as a child. When he sailed to the American colonies, he settled in New York. Note: this map shows the colony borders as they were in 1772. People were amazed that a teenager could write so well. Local businessmen decided to send Hamilton to the American colonies to get a proper education. So in October 1772, Hamilton boarded a ship. He sailed off to the beginning of a better life. The College of New Jersey is now known as Princeton University. Hamilton planned to enroll in the College of New Jersey. But when he reached the American colonies, he found he wasn't prepared to pass the school's hard entrance exam. During the next year, he prepared for the test and passed it. But most people Hamilton's age had already finished college. He was just beginning. He asked to study at a faster pace in order to catch up. The college refused. Hamilton decided to go to King's College in New York City instead. There, he could earn his degree more quickly. Hamilton enrolled in King's College. Today it is known as Columbia University. Hamilton Hall at Columbia University. Revolutionary change. When Hamilton was in college, the American colonies were on the brink of war with Great Britain. Politics quickly became Hamilton's new passion. He spoke at rallies. He published papers supporting the American fight. While at King's College, Hamilton spoke out about America's fight for independence. Loyalists versus patriots. Colonists had different views during the Revolutionary War. Loyalists were people who wanted America to remain a colony of Great Britain. They were loyal to King George III. Patriots wanted to be free from British rule. They wanted the 13 colonies to govern themselves as an independent nation. Hamilton never finished college. After the Revolutionary War began in April 1775, he joined a militia, MLISH. He fought in battles and studied military plans. In early 1776, he became a captain in New York State Army. Word to know. Militia, a group of citizens organized for military service. This painting shows Hamilton's soldiers preparing for battle in December 1776. Hamilton was a fearless soldier. But he was an even better manager. He was organized and knew how to get the supplies his soldiers needed. George Washington, who was commander of the Continental Army, noticed this. In 1777, he asked Hamilton to join the Continental Army as his assistant. Hamilton helped Washington plan battles and manage staff. He also wrote important letters. Many of those letters went to the Continental Congress, asking for food and other supplies for the troops. Words to know. Continental Army, the official military group of the American colonies during the Revolutionary War. Continental Congress, the governing body of the American colonies during the Revolutionary War. General Washington asked a young Hamilton to join his staff. While the troops fought for freedom, the Congress tried to figure out how to run the new country. As Washington's assistant, Hamilton watched the Congress struggle. Too many members were fighting for the rights of individual states. Hamilton thought the United States needed a strong federal government, too. He feared the nation would never succeed unless all the states came together as a union. After 4 years on Washington's staff, Hamilton quit. He wanted to return to the battlefield. In 1781, his troops helped the Continental Army win the battle at Yorktown.